Welcome back, everybody, to another deep dive. This time, we're going to be looking at Deepseek,
Deepseek.
a Chinese AI company
Yes.
that's been making some headlines recently, and we've got a whole stack of New York Times articles about them here.
Yeah.
I'm really curious to kind of get into how this company went from, you know,
Relative obscurity.
relative obscurity to potentially challenging,
The AI giants.
yeah, the AI giants.
Yeah, and what's interesting about their story is it doesn't follow the traditional, Silicon Valley startup narrative, right? It's much more tied into China's financial system and China's political system.
And their ambitions with AI.
Yeah.
Yeah, and one of the things that really struck me going through these articles is they didn't start as an AI company at all.
Right.
Their parent company, High Flyer,
Flyer.
was this hedge fund
Hedge fund.
that was known for using AI to play the Chinese stock market.
Yeah, they were really good at it too.
Can you imagine using algorithms to predict those swings?
Oh yeah. They were particularly adept at capitalizing on the behavior of retail investors in China, who tend to be a little bit more impulsive than your average institutional investor.
Oh, so they were riding that volatility wave.
They were riding that wave, and it paid off.
But then things changed in 2021.
Exactly. So in 2021, regulators started cracking down on speculation in the market, right? They viewed it as a destabilizing force.
Oh, so they were
High Flyer.
this is getting a little
Too risky.
too risky.
They saw the writing on the wall.
Yeah.
They were like, we got to pivot to something that's more aligned with government priorities. And that's where AI comes in.
And that was a timely shift because they landed right in the sweet spot
Right in the sweet spot.
of China's tech ambitions.
Yeah. And it wasn't just about, staying on the right side of the regulators. It was also a calculated decision to capitalize on a sector that was clearly receiving a lot of government support and investment.
So they basically spun off Deepseek as a separate entity to focus on just AI research and development.
That's right.
Okay, so we've got the origin story, but what really caught my eye is how they're shaking things up in the AI world with their technology.
Oh, yeah.
Their latest AI model,
Deepseek V3.
V3, is giving the American AI giants a run for their money. And they did it on a shoestring budget.
Yeah, I mean, the benchmarks on Deepseek V3 are impressive. It's right up there with models from, the big names like Meta. But the real story is the cost.
Yeah.
They claim they trained this model for just $6 million.
$6 million.
Which is a fraction of what companies like Meta are spending.
That's mind-blowing.
It is.
I mean, $6 million is still a lot of money.
Sure.
But in the world of high-performance computing and AI, that's
pocket change.
pocket change.
Okay.
Are they cutting corners, or is there some real technological wizardry happening here?
No, it's not about cutting corners. They've made some smart choices.
Okay.
So first of all, they embraced open source software, which gives them access to this global pool of innovation without the massive overhead.
Right.
But they didn't stop there. They've also integrated some really cutting-edge techniques like mixture of experts, MoE, and multi-head latent attention, MLA.
Okay, those sound a little intimidating.
They do.
Can you break it down for us? What do those techniques actually do? And how are they helping DeepSeek achieve this incredible efficiency?
So think of MoE as a way for the model to be more selective, right? Instead of using all of its computational power for every task, it can dynamically activate different parts of itself, kind of like our brains use different regions for different functions.
Okay.
This targeted approach saves a lot of computational energy and cost.
So it's like having a team of specialists within the AI, each one ready to tackle a specific type of problem.
Exactly.
It's clever.
It is.
But what about this multi-head latent attention thing?
MLA is all about helping the model process information more effectively, so it allows it to focus on the most relevant parts of the input, kind of like how we might skim a text to get the gist of it.
Okay.
This makes learning faster. It requires less data, which again translates into cost savings.
So it's all about optimizing that learning process, making it leaner and more focused.
Exactly.
And they're also training their model using a technique called FP8 training.
Yeah.
What exactly is that?
So FP8 training is a more efficient way to represent numbers within the model.
Okay.
It allows for faster computation and reduced memory usage without sacrificing much accuracy.
Got it.
This means they can train larger models with less hardware, further driving down costs.
So I'm starting to see the bigger picture here. They're combining open source software with these really innovative techniques to build powerful AI models at a fraction of the cost.
Yeah.
This sounds like a potential game changer, not just for DeepSeek,
No.
but for the whole AI landscape.
It really challenges the assumption that you need to be a tech giant with billions to spend to be a player in AI, right?
Yeah.
It's like they've found a way to build a race car that performs just as well as the big teams, but uses a fraction of the fuel.
So how are the established AI giants reacting to this? Are they, like, taking notes, or are they feeling a little threatened by this newcomer?
I think it's a mix of both.
Yeah.
There's definitely some curiosity.
Yeah.
Some see DeepSeek's approach as validation,
Hmm.
that there are alternative paths to AI development, right? Paths that prioritize efficiency and collaboration over just sheer scale.
Right.
Others are definitely worried that DeepSeek's success could disrupt the existing power dynamics in the AI world.
That makes sense. It's like any industry where you have like a new player coming in and disrupting the status quo.
Exactly.
It forces everyone to reevaluate their assumptions and adapt to this new reality. But it's not just the established companies that are paying attention.
No. Governments are watching very closely, especially in the context of this U.S.-China tech war. The U.S. has been trying to restrict China's access to advanced chips, the very hardware that powers these AI systems, and yet here's DeepSeek seemingly thriving despite these limitations.
Okay, so they're playing the efficiency game, they're navigating this tech war, and they're operating within China's political landscape.
It's a complicated story.
Yeah.
It really is.
I'm curious to dig deeper into how they're managing all of these competing pressures.
Well, that's where things get even more fascinating, because DeepSeek's story isn't just about technology, it's about navigating this complex web of geopolitics, economics, and even censorship. Censorship. I mean, it really highlights the whole complexity of this tech rivalry that's going on between the U.S. and China.
Right.
You have these efforts to, like, control the flow of advanced technology, and then you have DeepSeek coming in and being like, hey, look, there are ways around this.
Yeah.
It's almost like a real-life game of chess.
Yeah, they're finding those workarounds.
Yeah. Each side is trying to, like, outmaneuver the other.
It's like a constant back and forth.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's not just about the technology itself, right?
Right.
It's about the broader implications of who controls this technology, who shapes it.
Yeah. Who controls the future of this powerful technology?
Exactly, because artificial intelligence isn't just a theoretical concept anymore, right?
Right.
It's becoming this core driver of economic growth, military capability, even cultural influence.
Yeah, like it's woven into the fabric of like how we live now.
It is, and that's why the question of who leads in AI development carries so much weight geopolitically.
It's huge.
It is.
It's like we have these two superpowers, right?
Yeah.
Vying for dominance in AI. And then you have Deepseek right in the middle, challenging all the assumptions about who can play in this game and how it's played.
They're shaking things up.
They are. And it feels like we're witnessing a real shift in the balance of power. And they're right at the epicenter of it all.
It's definitely a pivotal moment, and I think DeepSeek's story is a really good reminder that the future of AI isn't just going to be determined by these traditional power players. These new entrants, especially the ones that are backed by governments like China that have these huge ambitions, they're coming in with new approaches.
New ideas, new energy.
Yeah, and they're hungry to challenge the status quo.
Speaking of challenging the status quo, I have to ask about their chatbot, R1.
Oh, yeah.
It's gotten a lot of attention, not just for its capabilities, but also for, like, the controversy surrounding its responses to certain topics.
Yeah, it's a fascinating case study, actually, in how technology and censorship can intersect.
Yeah.
So, the early reviews for R1 have been pretty positive.
Yeah.
A lot of people are impressed by its ability to engage in really natural, nuanced conversations.
It feels very human.
Yeah, very human. But some users have noticed this really stark difference in R1's responses depending on what language they're using.
Yeah, I read about that.
So when you prompt it in English, it's surprisingly open to talking about these kind of sensitive topics.
Like China's zero COVID policy or...
Exactly. Things that you wouldn't expect it to really be comfortable discussing. But then you switch to Chinese and suddenly it's much more evasive and cautious.
Like almost like it has two different personalities.
Yeah, almost like a global-minded chatbot that's comfortable with open dialogue, and then a more cautious version that's constrained by, the realities of Chinese censorship.
It's fascinating.
It is, and it raises all these questions about how AI is going to be shaped by these different cultural and political contexts.
It really does. Like, it makes you think about how even in the digital realm, these borders and ideologies still matter.
They do, and it highlights the challenges for companies like Deepseek that are trying to operate on this global stage
Right.
while also navigating the complexities of their home country's regulations.
It's like a real tightrope walk for them.
Yeah, on the one hand, they want to showcase their technology, they want to attract a global audience, but on the other hand, they have to be really mindful of, the potential repercussions within China.
And the sensitivities.
Exactly.
A balancing act for sure.
Yeah, and this tension isn't going to go away anytime soon, right?
Right.
As AI becomes more integrated into our lives, these questions of censorship control, the potential for bias, they're only going to become more prominent.
It's almost like we're entering this new era of digital diplomacy.
It is.
Where the rules of engagement are still being written.
And companies like Deepseek are the ones who are figuring it out in real time.
Yeah, they're right at the forefront.
They are, and their experience could really shape the future of how AI is developed and deployed around the world.
Yeah.
We're talking about setting precedents for data privacy, freedom of expression, even national security in the age of AI.
It's a lot to wrap our heads around.
It is.
But one thing's for sure, Deepseek's story is far from over.
No, it's just beginning.
They've proven themselves to be real innovators and disruptors, and I think their journey is just getting started.
And their impact could extend far beyond just the realm of technology, right? I mean, their rise could reshape global trade. It could accelerate the diffusion of knowledge. It could even alter the balance of power between nations. It's a big deal.
Okay, so as we move into the final part of our deep dive, what are some of the key takeaways we should be considering?
Okay.
Especially when it comes to understanding the broader implications of Deepseek's emergence.
I think it's crucial to recognize that Deepseek's story isn't just about one company's success. It's a reflection of this much larger transformation that's happening right now.
Right.
We're seeing a shift in the global landscape of innovation.
Okay.
New players are emerging. They're coming in with different approaches, different priorities.
And they're not afraid to shake things up.
No, they're not.
Like Deepseek, they're challenging our assumptions about what it takes to succeed in this AI race.
Right. And they've shown that innovation isn't just about having vast resources.
Yeah.
It's about ingenuity.
Yeah.
It's about adaptability.
Being scrappy.
Yeah. And a willingness to challenge the status quo. I mean, they've demonstrated that there are these alternative paths to AI development paths that prioritize efficiency and collaboration.
Yeah.
And their success raises some really important questions about how the AI landscape is going to evolve in the coming years.
So what does this all mean for the future of AI?
Yeah.
What are the potential implications for businesses, for governments, for everyday people like us?
Well, that's what we're going to explore in the final part of our deep dive.
Okay, let's get to it.
We'll look at the potential for a more democratized AI landscape, the geopolitical implications of Deepseek's rise, and what it all means for the future of innovation and global competition.
We've been talking about, Deepseek's rise and, their potential to disrupt the AI landscape.
Right.
But what does this actually mean for the average person?
Yeah.
Are we all going to be interacting with Deepseek's AI in, the near future?
I mean, it's certainly possible their low-cost model and this whole open source approach they've got, it has the potential to make AI way more accessible than it's ever been before. Think about it if, any company can access these powerful AI tools
Right.
at a fraction of what it used to cost.
Yeah.
It opens up a whole world of possibilities.
I mean, I'm already seeing AI popping up everywhere from chatbots on websites.
Oh, yeah.
To personalized recommendations on my streaming services.
Everywhere.
Is that just the tip of the iceberg?
I think so. We're really just scratching the surface here with companies like Deepseek making AI more affordable.
Okay.
We could see this wave of innovation across industries.
So, what could that look like?
Well, imagine things like AI-powered healthcare diagnostics,
Okay.
personalized education programs,
Interesting.
even smarter transportation systems.
It's pretty exciting to think about all the potential benefits.
Yeah.
But I also can't help but wonder about the potential downsides.
Yeah.
What about job displacement?
Right.
If AI can do more and more tasks,
Yeah.
what happens to the people who are currently doing those jobs?
That's a really valid concern. And it's something that, policymakers and industry leaders, they need to start addressing this proactively.
Yeah.
As AI gets more sophisticated, it's inevitable that some jobs are going to be automated.
Right.
But it's also really important to remember that AI can also create new opportunities and augment existing jobs.
So it's not necessarily a zero-sum game.
Exactly.
It's about like adapting to a changing landscape.
Yeah.
Figuring out how humans and AI can work together effectively.
That's the key.
So we've also talked about, the geopolitical implications of DeepSeek's rise.
Right.
What does their success mean for the balance of power between the U.S. and China?
It's a good question, and I think DeepSeek's emergence as a major player in the AI field, it definitely challenges the U.S.'s dominance in the tech sector that they've held for so long.
Right.
It's a sign that China is really serious about becoming a global leader in AI, and they're willing to put in the resources to make that happen.
And it's not just about national pride, right? Control over AI has huge implications.
It does.
For like economic competitiveness.
Of course.
Military power.
Yeah.
Even global influence.
Absolutely. The country that leads in AI is going to have a significant advantage in shaping the future.
Right.
And DeepSeek's success is a wake-up call.
Yeah.
The U.S. can't just assume they're going to stay on top.
Right.
They need to keep investing in research and development.
Yeah.
Foster innovation, attract the best talent if they want to keep their edge.
Okay, so what does all this mean for investors?
Yeah.
Where should they be looking in this rapidly changing AI landscape?
Well, I think one key takeaway here is that the demand for computing power, it's only going to go up.
Yeah.
As AI becomes more sophisticated and more widespread.
Makes sense.
So the companies that are providing the infrastructure for AI development, whether it's hardware like chips or software platforms, those are well positioned for long-term growth.
So we're talking about like NVIDIA.
Yeah, NVIDIA is a good example.
Yeah. Who make the GPUs that power a lot of AI systems.
Right. And then the cloud computing giants like Amazon, Microsoft, who provide the data centers and all that computing power that AI developers need.
The backbone of it all.
Exactly. Those are just a couple of examples.
Right.
But the point is the AI ecosystem is really complex. There's a lot of moving parts. And there are opportunities across that entire value chain.
Well, this has been a fascinating deep dive.
It has.
We've covered so much ground, from DeepSeek's origins to their technology, the potential benefits of a more democratized AI landscape, to the geopolitical implications of their rise.
It's a big story.
As we wrap up, what's like the one thing you want listeners to take away from this conversation?
I think the most important thing to remember is that the AI revolution is happening now.
Yeah.
It's not some far-off future scenario. It's unfolding right in front of us.
It is.
And DeepSeek is just one example of the incredible innovation that's happening. And it's a reminder that we all need to be paying attention.
Stay informed.
Yeah, engage in critical thinking and be prepared to adapt to a world that's changing really rapidly.
Absolutely well said. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive.
My pleasure.
And for our listeners out there, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep asking those big questions.
Yeah.
The future of AI is being shaped right now.
Right now.
And it's up to all of us to make sure it's a future we can all be excited about.
I agree.